Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the organizers for giving us an opportunity to speak in the India Advantage Summit today. I'll quickly take you through a brief about our company, right, what we do, what we stand for, but then most importantly spend some time in talking about how we are contributing to the nation's growth and basically, in terms of handling a very big question, a very big problem which is on our hand is, how do you recycle the municipal solid waste? So Terex Corporation is a US multinational. It's roughly $4.5–5 billion company. We are mostly into aerial work platform, utilities, and materials processing. And materials processing is the business under which part we do make crushing and screening and recycling equipment, which is something which I'm going to focus a lot more today. As I said, it's a global company with a manufacturing footprint spread across almost all the continents. We have very large manufacturing presence in North America, close to around 9 factories in North America. Big presence in Europe, a lot of them concentrated in Northern Ireland and England, close to 11–12 manufacturing facilities in Europe. In Asia, we have a large manufacturing facility around 50 kilometers from here in Hosur, near the Bangalore, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu border. We have a manufacturing facility in Malaysia, China to handle this region. Plus, we have a large manufacturing setup in a couple of locations in Australia. We are a diversified business portfolio company, right? So in the materials processing, we have different groups called minerals processing systems, the environmental sciences, concrete, material handling, and lifting solutions. And what I'm going to focus a lot more today is the environmental science is a part of the business which we operate in, although we are also large in crushing and screening and other businesses as well. So under the environmental science business, we have Terex Ecotech. We have 3 brands of businesses. Terex Ecotech is a brand which is mobile, track-mounted mobile machines, which goes into different types of waste recycling, construction and demolition waste, municipal solid waste. So they are machines which get used into different applications. CBI, the Continental Biomass Industries, is another business which we operate, but they are mostly into wood chipping and that kind of a recycling. And the newest business which we have now launched and which is also now launched in India is the Terex Recycling Systems. And this is a business which is going to be focusing mostly on the construction and demolition waste which is happening in India, recycling, municipal solid waste. So this is a business which we have just launched in India. And this is going to be a static modular kind of a machines which is going to be driven by electricity, which is the requirement in a lot of sites which are processing municipal solid waste or construction and demolition waste. So we have a comprehensive range of machines, mobile grinding, shredding, screening, separating, and processing equipment. In the applications we work upon is a municipal solid waste, construction and demolition waste, commercial and industrial waste, green waste and compost, biomass, landfills, forestry debris, sawmill recycling, pulp mills, right, biomass to energy plants, pellet mills, and a lot of other applications are the ones wherein we operate in. So let us speak a little bit about, the municipal solid waste and, the legacy waste which is in India. So if you are aware, India produces close to 150,000 tons of solid waste daily is generated across all the households in the country, right? That is roughly 62 million tons of solid waste generated every year in the country, right? Around 70% of this waste is collected, and the balance 30% is never collected, is what you see on the sides of your road in the dumps, on the unofficial garbage dumps. Out of the 70% waste which is collected, only 20% is basically processed, and the balance 50% goes to the landfill without any processing. So the problem is huge, right? If you're talking about 62 million tons, shows close to 20 million tons of waste is never collected, and only 12 million tons of waste is actually processed. The balance 40 million tons of waste just goes into the landfill, right? And if you see the projection on the left-hand bottom of the slide, right, by 2030, this 62 million tons is expected to go to 165 million tons. And by 2050, with the rise in the population and the spending habits and the consumption habits, this is going to go to a whopping 436 million tons of solid waste, right? And as I said, like, around 50% of this waste goes into the landfill, 20% of the waste is processed, and 30% of the waste is never collected. And these are huge numbers in million tons. This is not just a percentage, but huge numbers in million tons. The Indian municipal solid waste is different than the municipal solid waste which is generated in Europe and some of the developed economies, because it mostly contains food waste, plastic, soil, glass, pebbles. It's a very kind of complex mixed waste which we generate in the country. And then the legacy waste is the, what we call as a waste which has been kept for 30, 40 years in some of the barren land or the landfill sites, right? So there is one is your fresh municipal solid waste which you generate, and the second category is the legacy waste which has been lying in these dumps for 30, 40 years. In India, there are close to 2,000 legacy dumps, waste dumps yards across the country. So if you travel across any of the cities, large cities, outskirts, you will be seeing these huge, huge dumps, right? The Ghazipur Delhi waste dump yard height is 213 feet, which is equal to 20-story building. I know you must have heard about it because this keeps on coming in the news often because of political reasons, environmental reasons, fire, whatever. Some of these landfills have reached their saturation heights or levels in 2002, but 20 years on, we are still dumping, right, and still being used, right, We have a dump site in Jammu, right, which is on the riverbed, right, and, when it has been, the riverbed has been flooded many times and it contaminates the whole river water downstream. We have a dump site in Latur in Maharashtra, right, which is a mixture of organic waste, plastic and inert material. And this has been creating a lot of problems for the local population and polluting the underground water. So one of the machines which we do produce is, we called it as a Warrior 1200, and what it does is that it screens out the legacy waste, the municipal solid waste, and then it divides into 3 usable product lines. And the first one is your RDF, which is the refuse derived fuel, right, which goes into cement plant, power plants as a fuel. It also separates it out into inert material, which is pebbles, stones, and glass, and the inert material then goes back into the landfill. And then you have the soil compost, which is your, which goes as a fertilizer in the farming operations. So what we do is we produce machines which basically converts your municipal solid waste, legacy dumps into usable products of compost, which is again 100% used by the farmers in their farming operations. These are the organic material which is composted by staying in the legacy dump waste for years. You have your inert material, which is a clean inorganic material which can go into your dump sites without any environmental hazards. And then your RDF is one of the most sought after material by the power plants and the cement plants, because that is what is being used for generating it has a high calorific value. So just some pictures of what our machines have been able to do. That there are some customers, and I'll run a short video after that, who have used this Warrior 1200, and you can see how the dump sites were before it has been processed, and after the dump sites have been cleared. It has also got a lot of media coverage over the last few years. But this is not only the end. We are also bringing in the C&D waste recycling, construction and demolition waste. If you have been following the news in Noida, there have been huge buildings which have been brought down. So we are also now active into the construction and demolition waste. And the main thing which we'll be producing is the manufactured sand. So again, in a way, you are going to help the environment, because you're not going to take out the sand from the river, but you are going to use the manufactured sand. And then we are also going to bring in the shredders. So basically the large pieces, like if somebody has discarded a mattress or a large piece of cloth, that cannot be used as a RDF. So if you shred it into 30 to 40 mm size, we can better use the RDF with a higher calorific value. So with that, I'll just leave you with a small video. It's more like see some sites, but you will also hear from the customers what they have to talk about. These are some of the large companies which are engaged in the municipal solid waste recycling in the country as of now.
तो कहते हैं ना टोटल डेवलपमेंट बॉडी के साथ में या म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन के साथ और कैंटोनमेंट बोर्ड में मिलकर काम कर रहा है। टोटल कैपेसिटी की अगर बात की जाए तो करीबन 4.5 मिलियन लीटर्स की प्रोसेस है। और लेगेसी वेस्ट एंड इक्विपमेंट बेसिकली सबसे बड़ी जो बात होती है वो होती है इक्विपमेंट का सर्विस सेगमेंट। उसके लिए हम लोगों ने जो है कई जगह की बातचीत की, पूरे वर्ल्ड वाइड जो है रिसर्च किया और लास्ट में हमें ऐसा मिला वो है बेसिकली ग्वालियर 1200 पावर स्टेशन। ये मशीन बैक माउंटेड मशीन है, साइट के अंदर जा करके जहाँ पे आपका कचरा है वहाँ जा करके काम करती है। कचरे को आपको ठोकर नहीं लाना है मशीन के पास में, तो आपका जो लीड कॉस्ट है वो उसमें सेव होता है। दूसरा चीज़ मशीन की जो पर आवर डीजल की अगर हम बात करें तो वो बाकी टेक्नोलॉजी से कंपेयर में बहुत ही कम आती है। मतलब ये हमारे प्रोजेक्ट को एक माइलेज की तरह दिया है, क्योंकि मशीन जो है इस तरीके से डिज़ाइन की गई है, इस तरीके से इसकी इफिशियंसी और क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस किया गया है, तो इसका मेंटेनेंस भी उतना है। दूसरी चीज़ इस मशीन की है कि जो सर्विस सपोर्ट जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं वो बहुत ही कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव है। हम लोग इस मशीन के साथ बहुत ही सेटिस्फेक्शन से काम कर रहे हैं।
So we have over 50 sites wherein these machines are working in the country, 50 legacy dump sites where these machines are working, and uh, close to 300,000 tons of waste has been processed in the last couple of months' time. Thank you.